All right, JP, 730 Sports, mic check, 1, 2, all that good shit. All right, so here's where we get to see if the Falcons are real. Are they a legitimate Super Bowl contender? Um, Unfortunately, they drew Seattle. Seattle is playoffs every year. This is what they do. NFC Championship game. They win tough games in the playoffs. This is what Seattle does. The good news for Atlanta is the game is in Atlanta. Now, earlier this year, these teams played and Seattle pulled it out 26-24. But I'm not going to worry about what happened earlier in the season for a couple of reasons. One thing is Seattle is a different team the first 8 games versus the second 8 games and in the playoffs. And also, I need to see what Atlanta does in the playoffs. This is the test for Atlanta. Are you a legitimate Super Bowl contender? Are you going to the NFC Championship game? Or are you a team that we have to now pay attention to outside of all of the regular season hype and all the scoring points and all of the stuff they did in the regular season? Okay, that's cool. But this is the playoffs now. We want to see what you're about. And we've seen this from Atlanta before where they come into the playoffs looking great and then, it just doesn't happen. They fall apart. Um, like I said, good news is the game is in Atlanta. It's not in Seattle. Bad news is if Thomas Rawls is going to run the ball the way he did last week, that's not good for Atlanta. Um, because what you're doing is keeping the ball out of Matt Ryan's hands. Atlanta needs 31 points in this game. I don't know how they get it. Um, I really don't know who wins this game. I don't have a good feel for it at all. This can go a lot of different ways here. Seattle is capable of just laying an egg. We've seen them do that also. But I don't think that's happening here. Seattle's defense is still top notch. You still have Russell Wilson. Um, what Atlanta has to hope and pray for is that Russell Wilson has to drop back 35 times in this game because Seattle's offensive line is so horrible at pass blocking. They will have a shot to get to Russell Wilson. If they're running the ball well, they being Seattle, then he doesn't have to throw as much. They'll be able to run the ball. And you're not going to get your shots at Russell Wilson. Then here comes the play action pass, the bootlegs, and the read option, and then Atlanta's in trouble on the defensive side. And then it might become a shootout. Um, as far as Atlanta's defense is concerned, it's okay. I mean, Vic Beasley has the sacks, and not all of them were him. I don't know how I feel about Vic Beasley. Let me see you do this again next year, and then I feel differently about him. Right now, I don't know, but Atlanta's defense is young, and they're learning, and it's an okay defense, but they're not leaning on their defense. You can score on Atlanta, all right. So, um, Atlanta needs to put up these points. They need that 31. They need 35. They need those type of numbers, I think, in order to win this game. If this is somehow a low scoring game, which I find very difficult, I don't see a low scoring game here because I don't think Atlanta's defense can match up with Seattle's defense. In order to have a low scoring game, you need two good defenses, and I don't think Atlanta is a good defense. It's an okay defense. So we'll see. This is an interesting game. It can go a lot of different ways. If Thomas Rawls goes back to being what he was earlier this season, then Atlanta has a legitimate shot. But I don't see Atlanta putting up 35 and 40 points on this Seattle defense. I just don't see it. I can't see it. They will know how to move the ball because, basically Atlanta's head coach used to coach the defense in Seattle. Both teams run a cover three defense. They know how to move the ball on cover three. But the difference between Atlanta's cover three and Seattle's cover three is talent. A lot of talent on that Seattle side. young and improving talent on Atlanta's side. So, although they're running the same defenses, they're not going to look the same. The results are not going to be the same. So this is an interesting game. Matt Ryan MVP, yeah, whatever. We'll see how that goes. I don't care about all that. Who cares about MVP? Win a playoff game. That's what I need you to do. Win a playoff game, get to the NFC title game, and be legitimate. Just don't be a regular season team that scores a lot of points and get in the playoffs and you choke out. So we'll see how that one goes. I'm out.